Cambodia the dirty way round. This tour isn't just about dirt bikes. There were side trips to explore the fascinating and at times sad aspects of Cambodia. One of these was a boat trip along an offshoot of the Mekong River, which winds through 6 Southeast Asian countries for 4,300 kilometres. Back in 2005, Cambodia was the second poorest country in Southeast Asia. But these incredibly resilient people have made significant progress against poverty. But on this river cruise, we could still see there is a long way to go, with riverside mansions and 5-star hotels often next to the tin shacks of Cambodia's poorest. Throughout the trip, there were conversations about what we think poverty is in our rich first world countries compared to poverty in the poorest countries, and how we are so unaware of our good fortune that we obsess over first world problems. Of course, we dirt riders are no exception. We will shift into pussy mode at the drop of a hat. In contrast with this guy who was so excited about his latest handlebar mods that cost him nothing. Surprisingly, people in poor countries don't see us as spoiled brats, but show compassion for our problems. Although at times they struggle to understand why we call them problems. I don't blame them. In the first world, we believe money buys happiness, despite all the research showing more money doesn't increase long-term happiness once our basic needs are met. The only exception seems to be hanging around richer people than us. Envy makes us miserable, so more money will make us less miserable in those cases. 95% of Cambodians are Buddhists, and the main aim of Buddhism is to conquer desires and cravings that don't lead to true happiness. I suspect this has a lot to do with the big smiles and welcoming attitude from Cambodians in poor communities. They tend to keep quiet about this, but I was very pleasantly surprised to hear much of the profits from Cambodian motorbike tours go towards free housing for the poorest of the poor in Cambodia. Here is a typical true story. Srey Koit is a young Cambodian girl who became an orphan in a hit-and-run accident. A rich Cambodian in an expensive car actually ran over her mother again to make sure she was dead before fleeing the scene. Koit and her sick sister went to live with their homeless grandmother, who could only afford to sleep under someone else's house. Left alone all day while the grandmother worked in rice fields, Koit's incapacitated sister fell out of her makeshift bed one day and was eaten by the village pigs. On a starvation diet, Koit began suckling on village dogs that had recently given birth. A sad but incredibly smart move, as it meant Koit avoided the lifelong developmental problems most malnourished kids get. Then, finally, some good news. Cambodia Motorbike Tours heard about Koit and her grandmother's situation. They worked with local village elders to build her a free house, one of 160 they have built in Cambodia so far. Sometime later, they found out the local school wouldn't accept Koit as a student because of a speech impediment. A lucky coincidence? A few years earlier, Cambodia Motorbike Tours had supplied a free playground to the local school, and a gentle reminder to the headmaster saw Koit immediately accepted into the school. So it's a hard luck story, and of course not all Cambodians are doing it that tough. But I'm sure there are some doing it even tougher. So if you are thinking of doing one of these trips, it's going to a good cause. And I can tell you from personal experience, when you see the happiness and resilience of the Cambodian people in the face of grinding poverty, it will give you a whole new appreciation for how unbelievably lucky you are. Many of us in the first world have not only become physically flabby because of our wealth, but also emotionally flabby. We get stressed or angry over ridiculous first world problems. And I am as guilty as they come. I figure it never hurts to get a reminder about how good we have it and remember that many don't.